Hello. It's been a while since I posted anything, and I appreciate all the feedback that came from the previous meditations and little talks. Um, and I've been looking at the news and seeing that, parts of Europe are still in pretty heavy lockdown. I think things seem to be looking a bit better in the US, but still things are probably pretty tough for a lot of people. And just wanted to throw a few things in the ring to consider as we all travel through this experience of COVID together in our separate individual sort of ways. But, in reality, there probably isn't anyone in the world who hasn't been in some way affected by this amazing phenomenon of this virus. And I know that there's frustration, and I know that especially in lockdown when you can't go to work and you can't go outside, and perhaps it's even cold outside, so it's winter and it's a bit dismal, and the mind can kind of go a little bit wild, can spiral perhaps into quite a bit of negativity. But something to consider in the midst of all of this as we wait for the rollout of the vaccines, and we listen to the media and we get all of these stories and we hear all the conspiracy theories and how did this happen, why did it happen, who's behind it, is there some sinister plan behind it all? But perhaps there is more to consider. And there is something woven into this phenomenon of the virus that as a species we really need to consider. And the first basic principle, that the natural order of all things is to find balance. That includes within our own bodies, within our communities, within the world. And it doesn't take much to look back on the past, few hundreds of years of humanity to see that through our own mind-based, personal will-based, wanting to fulfill desire, we have totally upset the balance of the natural order of things on this planet. We have bent the natural rules to suit our wishes. We have taken so much from the natural resources that support us. We believe in these systems that are completely illusory. They're only made up within the human mind, and yet we feel that these systems are what supports us. And in the process of upholding these systems, we are actually destroying the true foundational systems that support us, which are the ecosystems of this planet. And so perhaps this virus is the way of, the universe saying, hey, we need to look at this. Things are so out of balance that there is no choice but to purge something. And as we, work so hard to get vaccinated and to keep going with the natural pace of our lives, I think that we just forget about this sort of deep, deep message that is woven into this experience. Not that I think the vaccine is a bad thing. It's a great thing. It's a wonderful feat of human accomplishment. It's, necessary in this time. And, but I think it's also a Band-Aid for a much, much bigger issue that if we don't look at as a species very soon, we might be in big trouble as a species. So perhaps what this is telling us is that our whole focus of what we prioritize in our life, maybe that needs to change. Maybe the biggest pandemic of our time is really a disconnection from like the true essence of who we are, of what really supports us. Ironically, in ways we are so connected through technology, through travel. We can, before the virus, we could go all over the world and not think twice about it. You can call up a family member or a friend halfway around the world and not think anything of it. It's like a normal everyday happening. But on a deeper level, we are so very disconnected from what really, really supports us. And perhaps all of this is just a calling to return back to that precious essence, which is there supporting us all the time, just in the background, lovingly dishing out what we need to survive, keeping things in balance as much as it can. And just hoping that we return to the knowing of it at some point before we completely destroy the environment which does support us. So perhaps what we really need to do in this time is to be still, to sit quietly, to connect with what it is that is woven into everything. It's there in the background, always. It's woven into everything that exists. There's nothing that is not it. And to connect with that, to really feel it and know it on the deepest level, when that happens, then all that remains is a deep, deep reverence for everything, for life in all of its infinite forms, for every experience that we have, even if it feels unpleasant and painful. And when we become really still and quiet from the inside, then this presence, this sort of unwavering, loving presence has a chance to show itself, to reveal itself, to come to the surface of our lives once again, so that we can actually make the knowing of it, the cultivating of the knowing of it, a priority in our lives. Because when that happens, our selfish desires, our wanting more and grasping at things begins to dissolve. And what begins to arise in its place is a simple calling to maintain the balance, to think and act and speak in a way that is of benefit for everything in its entirety. Because when we damage one thing that exists, we actually are hurting also ourselves. So let's take a moment just to sit wherever you are, whatever's going on. Take a moment to just get comfortable. Take a few deep breaths. Exhale through your mouth. And just settle gently into whatever position you're sitting in, or maybe you're lying down. Take a moment just to become aware of the sounds around you. The physical presence of your body in the space that you're in. And settle. Settle your body, settle the mind. if you can feel the rhythm of your breath. Notice the exact point where your breath becomes breath, where the air around you becomes part of you as your breath. And follow that breath through your whole body. Notice what it carries with it through you. Notice what it does to your mind. After that complete cycle of breath, feel the point where the breath exits the body and once again becomes part of the atmosphere, part of the world around you. And again, breathing in the point where the air becomes breath. Following that breath through your body, and then notice the exact point where that breath returns, dissolves back into the world around you. And see if you can feel as your breath returns to its natural rhythm. Tune into that natural order of all things. It's the silent presence that inspires each breath. It's there in the song of the birds. Maybe you can feel it in your heartbeat. It's woven into every sensation that you feel, every thought that you have, everything we see, everything we touch, everything we know. The magnificence and wonder of life in all of its forms arises from this pure presence that is vast, unwavering, steady, and so very loving. Even if you find some truth in these words but can't quite feel that presence directly, perhaps there's part of you that knows that it's there, without a doubt. See if you can let the knowing of this, the experience of this presence rise to the surface of your life in all of its grace, in all of its love. So that life becomes less about expressing our personal will and desires and the things we want to get and achieve, and more about just expressing this grace, this love, sharing it with those around us, letting it ooze out of us in everything that we do, everything that we say, every thought that we have. In the midst of some pretty tough situations, this can be our anchor. What we return to again and again when our external circumstances feel so out of control. And as you gently let your attention once again come to the physical presence of your body, the rhythm of your breath, bring your attention to the space of your heart. Just rest your attention there within the sanctum of the heart. And feel with love and kindness from your heart through your whole body, out into the world in all directions to all the places and people, all forms of life that are in need of the reminder of this loving presence, of this clarity, this wisdom that is always already here, right now. And then bringing your attention back to the space of your own heart. As you emerge back into your day, whatever point you're at in that day, see if you can keep even just a thread of your attention here, in this space that is beyond any thought you could have. It's beyond any external circumstance. Ever steady, unwavering presence that supports us all. And from my heart to all of your hearts, thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this helpful. And hopefully I will tune in with you again soon.